It's Washington State head coach Jake Dickert after the huge win against the Huskies this past weekend. And thank you very much, Coach, for being a part of the show. It's great to have you on. How have you been able to kind of like enjoy what you had and what you did and yet get focused and just get back to the basics of the next game?
Well, that's the biggest difference, guys, that I found out moving a rivalry game to week 3. I mean, normally you have a lot of time to celebrate that win and, you know, kind of revel in it a little bit. And we're on a short week on a Friday night against a good San Jose team. So we practiced in pads last night already, and it's snapped back to game week, and let's get moving on with it. So, you know, what happens in big rivalry wins, you get saturated with love. And, yeah, it feels good, but if you don't handle success the right way, it can come back and bite you.
Do you prefer it week 3, or do you prefer it week 12 because of what you just said?
Well, there's no doubt about week 12. I mean, that was, you know, this is one of the best rivalries in all of college football. And, you know, to put it on week 3, obviously we all know the situation and circumstance, but, you know, we're obviously a fresher football team. You know, we got the advantage because we were a more consistent coaching staff, you know, going into our 3rd year versus year 1 of their program. So there's obviously some natural advantages this year, but it is what it is, and we're excited about the opportunity.
Coach, I follow Texas players or players from Texas pretty closely, and so I knew a little bit about John Mateer, but I wasn't expecting this, and I know the whole world's kind of waking up to his ability right now. You clearly would have seen this before a lot of people, but when did you first start to notice what kind of a player he was, and just what have you thought about what you've seen from your QB through these first few weeks?
Shout out to Little Elm, Texas.
Yes.
So we found John in January. He was committed to an FCS program, you know, when I first got to be the head coach, and we just loved the intangibles that he possessed, his competitive nature, the way he kind of just maximized his abilities. And we saw a future of a different style quarterback than Washington State has really seen in a long time. And his versatility has been off the charts. I was unwilling to go into the portal this year and promise anyone they're going to be the starting quarterback here at Washington State. We knew what we had. We had a guy that needed to be challenged and earn the position, but we also felt really confident that John possessed all the tools necessary to really perform at a high level, and it's always good when that guy makes you right.
Jake, as you know, we're right in the middle of Texas in Waco with our show, despite the fact we have an audience that's coast to coast, and so we appreciate you being a part of this. You have others who are from the state of Texas. How important, despite the distance, is the state of Texas for your recruiting?
Well, Texas has been huge to us. I think in our time, we signed over 10 guys in the last 3 cycles. Ansel Dinboo from Aledo. We have one of our starting safeties down from Sterling in Texas. I mean, in Houston area, we just signed Chris Barnes from North Shore last year. So there's been a bunch of really positive recruiting, and, you know, it's fun when you see those type of guys go out there and have success, because it is our, you know, tertiary area, our 3rd level athlete that we're looking for. We go down there with a specific kind of body type in mind, and there's a lot of athletes in Texas, so it helps us here up in the Pacific Northwest.
You came up, you played at a small college, you coached at smaller colleges, and now here you are at a bigger school. How did that change what your coaching journey might have been and educate you along the way differently that you might have been had you just been at big program after big program after big program?
I think it's really shaped me into the coach that I am today. You know, I always like to tell people and recruits, I'm just like you. I wasn't born on third base. I had to earn it coaching up every level of college football. And I get the question a lot, guys, you know, coach, you must really treat these guys differently now that you're at an FBS program. And I say no. I say the same way I coach Division III, Division II, FCS, Group of 5 is the same way that we treat these guys here. And I think people crave coaching. I think at the end of the day, these kids haven't changed. They want to be coached. They want to be challenged. They want to be loved. They want to be pushed. And that's my job each and every day. So to be able to live out a dream, I mean, I get to coach football. I mean, it's just incredible, right? Even with all the challenges today, we're just extremely blessed to be able to do this job and live this profession and impact a lot of lives. So I think it's a unique journey to really say that I've had the opportunity to coach at every level.
So last week was quite the week, wasn't it? I mean, you guys are getting ready for a game. It's the Apple Cup. It's this huge matchup with your arch rival. And then there's also the news that broke about the PAC and the future of the conference and how much of a leading force Washington State is in this resurgence of the brand. I know you're busy with a football game, but how much does that resonate? And I know there was a lot of talk in the post game after the Apple Cup about, hey, this is a Pac-12 trophy that you guys won that, but just how did that resonate last week in the midst of getting ready for a game?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm not involved in all those high-level conversations, but I do think the number one thing we can do during this transitional period is win football games. I mean, I think that's, really easy to say and hard to do and apply. But it was about time, or it was time for, us to take reins and move the Pac-12 forward and really control our future, because hanging in the balance is not an easy place to be. Yet I followed that up by saying there's still a lot of change to happen in college football. Washington State now is stabilized and positioned itself for whatever happens. And that's remaking the Pac-12 and keeping it growing and still being aware and being able to move into whatever avenue we might be called upon. So I think we position ourselves very well, but after 2 years, we needed a landing spot. So you got to be able to work towards that. And I think this was a step in the right direction.
What does it say about you? And I'm not saying that you are any other way, but with all that happened, it would have been easy for people to look elsewhere, which is happening in college coaching anyway. But you said, no, we're going to win here. We're going to stay here. We're going to do it right here. What does that say about Jake Dickert?
Well, I think it says, first off, hopefully all of us have had someone in our lives really believe in them. And I think that's really ultra powerful. In 2021, Washington State and Pat Chun could have said, well, Jake, thanks for getting us through this year, but we want someone with more experience. No, they trusted me. They believed in me. They backed me every step of the way. They knew we had to go to work and roll up our sleeves and build a program. And this is 3 years of work, guys. What they saw on that field on Saturday was 3 years of tough, hard work in very adverse conditions. So to reap the benefit of that, more so for our players in our program than just myself personally, we take great pride in that. So I think as coaches, sometimes we say a lot of things, but I've had to live it out the last 5 years in real time in front of these kids that have really needed me, in front of a fan base and a program that needs a voice. So I take that very seriously, and to represent Washington State is a big source of pride for me and my family.
Craig asked you about, the news coming in, but you guys have had 3 years of tumultuous noise outside the program, and you've managed to come through it. How do you keep the noise out when, we're in the society of noise? You can't silence every device, and you've got players that are on these things all the time. You guys, especially this season, seem unbelievably focused and not affected by that, where I could point to several teams in the country going through similar things that are very affected by it.
We really spend a lot of time, if I'm being honest with you, teaching every member of our program to control your environment. I think it's the number one thing 18 to 23-year-olds now in this environment that we created need to understand. And ignoring it isn't the right approach. These kids are going to have other teams, trainers, mom, dad, aunts and uncles, all sorts of, friends on other teams communicating, talking to them, social media, NIL, commercials. If you're not teaching a young person how to control that and keep the main thing, and still show them that getting a great degree matters and being a high performer on and off the field matters, you're failing at your job. My job is so much more than football now.
Jake, you mentioned where you're from and where you have coached. Is there a fraternity among Craig Bohl, Kleiman, Leipold, Matt Campbell, Kalen DeBoer, and others who have come from other levels, earned their stripes to get to where they are now and where you are now?
Well, I think there's definitely, I'm from the Craig Bohl tree all the way. And I do a lot of things that Coach taught me, just do it in my own type of way. But I remember as a Division III coach cheering like hell for Lance Leipold to succeed, because I think there's tons of great coaches at lower levels that never get a chance. I've just been so blessed to get in the right situation with the right people at the right time to keep advancing up the ladder of college football. But yeah, I've cheered like hell for Chris Kleinman, Lance Leipold, Brian Kelly blazed the trail coming from Division II a long time ago. So those things are very important. And the more that we show that this can be done, that football is football, I think is very important for younger generation of coaches, because the best thing I did, guys, I GA'd at Division III. I got an opportunity to break down all the film, to coach my own position, to recruit, to line the field, to be the equipment guy. Like, it was everything. And that shaped every part of who I am today.
Jake Dickert, head coach at Washington State, with us on 365 Sports. What is the pride of where you are right now? 2 wins against FBS programs in Texas Tech and Washington. And then, of course, you still have more, including that game on Friday against San Jose State. Just knowing what you've accomplished so far, but knowing you have bigger fish to fry.
Well, I think in today's world, you got to look at a really big, wide approach. We've also beat 2 Power 4 teams that, probably have $5 million plus in NIL into their football teams. And, we're not even close to 7 figures yet. So I think in today's world, it just shows that you can still do it the old fashioned way. You can still develop kids. You can take 2- and 3-star guys, and if they want to stay in your program long enough, you can build a connection and a camaraderie that really matters in football games. So I think that's what we're trying to show and do it our own way, yet still advance here at Washington State. And I think we've done a good job of doing that, yet want to be a team that wants to continue to get better. That's what it takes to sustain success.
What was the first, because you meant the Division III jobs, what was the first coaching job you had where you didn't have to mow a lawn, tape an ankle, or anything like that?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I started my journey, I was like, if I can only coach scholarship football, I was like, man, if I could be a Division II coach someday, I'm living. And, I made it to Mankato, Augustana University, those schools in the heart of the Midwest, and got a chance to be a full-time coach for $27,000. Just living the dream, guys. And it's been a wild journey. We moved 8 times in 9 years, all while we were having 3 kids. So I like to say, I know my wife loves me. Otherwise, she would have got rid of me a long time ago. So it's just an amazing journey we've been on, and so proud of what it took to get here.
I know you got to go. Craig Bohl now lives in Waco, where we are, right on basically the campus of Baylor. I know he means a lot to you. We've had him on. He's got a great history. And what was the one thing he taught you the most in the time you coached or played or coached under and with him?
Toughness. The easiest thing I've ever could say about Coach is that it is tough, but details win, and his professionalism and how he attacked every day. I'm so proud that he's in that role, because I think he's tasked with saving college football. And there's not a better ambassador for someone that represents our game in today's world that keeps it about the players and the football than Craig Bohl. And I'm so honored to say that. He wasn't easy on us. He demanded our best every day. And I think I carried that with me all the time. And he always saw something in me that he felt that could really be special. And I'm so thankful for Coach Bohl, and just really proud that he's kind of blazing new trails for college football.
Yep, the executive director of the American Football Coaches Association. Last thing, are you going to get your voice back the rest of the year at all?
As defensive head coaches, I don't know. I just don't about yelling constantly. I think that it just kind of brings that out. So, yeah, it was the post game cigar got me, guys. If I'm being honest with you, I'm still suffering a little bit.
Enjoy it. Hey, Jake, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate Bill Stevens for setting this up, and we're glad we got you on. Good luck the rest of the way. Congratulations so far, and really appreciate what you mean.
Always a pleasure to have a voice down in Texas, guys. Go Cougs.
Jake Dickert. Jake Dickert, head coach at Washington State. Wisconsin, Stevens Point, where he played as GA. North Dakota State, that's where he was connected to Craig Bohl. Southeast Missouri State, South Dakota, Augustana in South Dakota, Minnesota State, Wyoming, Washington State. He was the defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, and now interim coach at the end of 2021, and then He's been the head coach the last, what is two, now his third year, and a huge win. What a satisfying win that had to be against the Huskies in Seattle.